Welcome to the 30/30 Health Podcast. The following discussion is for education and entertainment. It is not intended to diagnose or treat disease. Please do not apply any of this information without first discussing it with your doctor. Here is your host, Dr. Ruiz.
Hello everyone, super excited for my guest today, Michelle Norris. Michelle is a former corporate warrior, a trained chef, and multi-potentialite whose personal health issues and struggles with traditional medical orthodoxy inspired her to upend the way the world tackles health, wellness, and prosperity. She soon became one of Paleo's most outspoken evangelists, then co-founded and is now the CEO of Keto Effects, the largest paleo event in the world. She's a passionate speaker, motivator, and guiding light to those seeking deliverance from a broken healthcare system and disabled economic system. Now, before we start the show, I want to remind you that the Keto Effects tickets are now on sale. The Keto Effects box office is not going to be open for much longer. Make sure you buy your tickets today. These prices are not going to be around forever. So now, grab your coffee, and I hope you enjoy this show. Hello everyone, super excited to have one of my heroes on the show. The person that gave me one of the biggest opportunities, Michelle Norris. Michelle, how are you on your birthday?
I am doing great. I'm doing fabulous, Guillermo. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
So I've had Keith on the show twice. And, I was waiting to have an opportunity to interview you because you're such an inspiration. You're such a good person, and I don't even know how to gush about you because you're awesome. But for people that don't know you, what's your hero story?
Oh, wow. So my hero story actually starts with our daughter, Brittany, who was killed almost 9 years ago. She was killed in a car accident 3 days before her 23rd birthday and a week before her college graduation. She was an amazing person, and we thought she was really something pretty special, but we had no idea how special she was until, we went to her very first memorial service, which was actually held on her 23rd birthday. And we had over 700 people there, and they were just telling us how much she had changed their lives. And it wasn't, how you have somebody will go, oh, they changed my life, but there's not anything. It's just kind of topical. It's like, oh, they changed my life, but they don't have anything specific. Everybody told us a story of how she changed their lives. I mean, that we stood there and received people for hours. And so it was pretty incredible. And Keith and I just kind of talked about it afterwards, that we were pretty blown away by the fact that she had made such an impact in such a short time in her life. And we both had corporate gigs at the time. I was building Starbucks for a living. I was a project manager, and Keith was in corporate America in the pharmaceutical industry. We were pretty disenchanted with what we were doing, and we didn't feel very passionate about it and didn't feel like it was making a true difference in the world. And, Brittany's passing really gave us some perspective and helped us realize that we weren't living our potential and what our purpose in this life was. And, so we just really started looking to see where we could impact people. So Brittany's gifts were music and worship and ministry and prophecy, and those are not any of our gifts. And so we decided, okay, well, we have to operate within the gifts that we have and where we can impact people and help people change their lives. And ours is, obviously food and nutrition and fitness and health and wellness and in entrepreneurship. And so that's what we did. We decided that we were going to change our lives, leave our corporate gigs, and everybody thought we were crazy because, we were making a lot of money. We had a lot of really good benefits and that type of thing. And obviously when you become an entrepreneur and you go out on your own, you leave a little bit of that security behind. Not that there's real true security in having a job because, you can lose it at any time. But when you go out on your own, you're on your own and you've got to make it happen, and you have to make it happen every single day. And so that's where it started.
So many things, first of all,
to find the strength, because I can't imagine anything more horrible than losing a child. I'm not a father, but I cannot imagine. And to live your life every day to honor Brittany, that is just inspiring. And I remember one of your posts a couple of months ago was that you wanted people to, if they saw you and they didn't know about Brittany, to approach you and ask you, because you find that is just so rewarding and so inspiring for you. And that was like really powerful, because sometimes when we have grief, we want to suppress it, and that's just shows you what a great girl Brittany was.
Thank you. Yeah, I love talking about Brittany. Yeah, there are some people that would rather not talk or remember or bring up those type of things. But for me and for most parents particularly, we want to talk about our children because it's really hard for us for one of the things that I said at Brittany's last memorial service, she had 3 memorial services, and her last one, I actually got up and spoke. And I said, a parent who loses a child, your worst fear is that everybody's going to forget them and forget that they were here. And so that was my big thing, was I was terrified people would forget that she lived and existed and made an impact and was here and was beautiful and amazing and all of those things. And so for me, I love talking about her. I have no problem when someone wants to ask me what happened or, what she was like. I love talking about her because, for one thing, it's very cathartic for me, but also it's an opportunity for somebody to be impacted by her story. And she just was an amazing girl that lived life to the fullest and loved people. I mean, she loved people, and she was not a judgmental person. She was kind and loving, and she just loved everybody, and she let you know it. And so I just really honor and cherish that about her, and I love to talk about her. So yeah, and I think this is one of the things that I would say is that if you know someone that's lost their child, not talking about their child is probably more hurtful and harmful to them and causes more grief than if you bring up, because this is the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't want to bring them up because I'm afraid, I didn't want you to remember. Let me tell you, every single day we remember that our child is not here. You're not going to bring up something we don't already know. This is something we remember every single day, every single moment of our lives. When you lose a child, that you're not causing pain and remembrance. You're bringing up a person that we love more than life itself, and that's not a harmful thing. Now, that's not everybody, because everybody grieves differently. But by and large, the majority of parents who lose their children are not going to be remotely upset about talking about their child. Possibly the way they died totally depends on how they died, but talking about their child and their life is something that most parents are happy to do.
And just from this conversation, I can see a lot of your daughter's qualities with the way you interact with people, and in a more global way. The way that Paleo Effects accepts the guests and the opportunities. So I think you're doing really right by her, and so thankful for Brittany, because I see a lot of her qualities in all this machinery that you and Keith have created.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
So tell me, how did you go from slinging coffee to stressed people to having the world's most prestigious paleo conference?
It was I can just tell you a lot of insanity. That's the biggest part is insanity. So I'm of this mindset that when you see a need in this world or something that it really needs to be changed, the biggest step in making that change or creating something that will impact people's lives or change people's lives, the first step is recognizing the need. So when you recognize that need, this is probably one of my things that I really get very, very, very passionate about. And so I'm going to try to hold it all in here. But one of the big things is that when I see people who will say that needs to change, or that needs to change, or this needs to change, and then they sit back and they wait for somebody else to change it. It's probably one of my biggest issues, and one of the things that really drives me to be passionate about helping empower people to understand the amount of power they have within them. If you recognize that something needs to be changed, you need to be the one that does it. Why are you sitting back and waiting for somebody else to do that work? You see what needs to be done. You know what needs to be done. Find a way to make it happen. And the thing is that I think that we don't see ourselves as that special or powerful or whatever the talent, skill, you name it, fill in the blank. You feel like that you're not that person, or you're not enough, or that this is in somebody else's wheelhouse. It's not. It's definitely up to the individual, that when you see something in this world that needs to be changed, or there's a need that's out there that needs to be filled, do it. Don't sit around and wait for somebody else.
And you can almost see the opposite effect. We kind of like being the underdogs, and we beat ourselves up, and we are never good enough. And, like, for example, imposter syndrome. I remember, going through school, and as graduation was approaching, I was having a lot of self-doubt, because you don't want to give yourself the permission to be, a leader in any capacity, or a disruptor of normalcy. Even when when you listen to a podcast, or when you go to one of these conferences, and you are in the same room with the people that you are listening to, and have helped you gain your health, or change, the way farming is done, and there's not much difference between you and them, other than the will to actually get off your couch and do it.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that none of us is more special than anybody else. It's just a matter of us making the choice to say, you know what, I'm capable. I'm the one that can do this. I know what needs to be changed. I'm the one that can lead that. We all have that ability. It's a matter of whether or not we recognize it, or we choose to recognize it, or we choose to validate it and put it into action. And the problem is, the majority of the time, we make the choice to say, you know what, I'm not that special. I'm not that powerful. And, one of my favorite things, my very favorite quotes, is Marianne Williamson. And it's, who are you to not do it? Who are you to not shine? And that's the thing, is, don't ask why. Well, who am I to do that? I mean, like, well, who are you to not do that? That's the question you need to ask yourself, is, why do you think that you're not special enough to do it? Why do you think that you're not enough? Because we are all amazing, unique, and special. I mean, we're miraculous. When you really think about it, we're just really super miraculous. When you look at just everything we go through from birth to death, the fact that we're here and we survive and we live and we thrive and we are, happy and sad, and we go through all of these things, and that we're these really super complex but very simple beings sometimes. We're miraculous. So why in the world would you think that you are not special enough to do something?
I remember Keto Effects 2014, the Rob and Marc Show, and I was sitting in the audience, and they were like, "It's your turn." And I was sitting in the audience without a Facebook, without a podcast, going through my first year of medical school, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's my turn." And I started talking to everyone, and I started, asking for interviews, and I came back to school, and I started doing my botanical research, and I was like, I am part of this community. It's my turn. Because Rob, as we all know, happy birthday, Rob. You share a birthday with Michelle. Rob just wants to go farm coconuts.
Yes, he does.
And
at some point, so do I. So does Keith and I.
Yeah. So how are we, the people listening, how are we going to get up and do and fill the gaps when Rob leaves or the gaps that he currently has. Because, like, for example, I just interviewed CMJ, Chris Masterjohn, and the dude is amazing. But can your grandma download that podcast and follow him? And there's a lot of grandmas that will, but like for someone that has zero knowledge, there is a market, for you listening right now to fill.
I completely agree with you. And it's funny because I think it was in 2014 too that we had a think tank, and we were talking to people about starting podcasts, and we were challenging them to start podcasts, to start blogs, to start whatever it is that they were passionate about, that they needed to get there, they needed to make their mark and impact the world. And your impact may be just helping the people that are around you. And that is amazing and brilliant, and it's needed. But a lot of people are like, well, I'm not like Rob, or I'm not like Mark, or I'm not like, Melissa or Sarah or whatever. I'm not like them. No, you're not. But this is the thing. There are people that actually won't hear them. They won't listen to them. They won't resonate with them. They will resonate with you. And so there's a place at the table for everybody. I think there's so many people that, like you said, with the imposter syndrome, I totally hear you. Have been there, done that, still work through that on a daily basis of thinking, oh, who am I to, whatever. But my thing is, every single day I go, nope, I'm here to contribute. And I have to figure out what that is to contribute, and I'm do it in the best possible way that I can. And sometimes it's not always right, and sometimes it doesn't come out the way that I wanted it to. But you know what? I try every single day to make impact and to contribute and do my part to change people's lives and to change the world for the better. And that's, I think, all we can ask of each other is just do your part. And whatever that looks like to you, that may be starting a podcast, that may be writing a book, that may be telling your neighbor how to get healthier. That may be all that you need to do, and that's okay. It's just don't feel like you don't have any worth or any way to contribute, because you do.
And the saying, a high tide raises all ships. The more people that are contributing and expressing this message and yelling it off the mountaintops, the more people are going to get helped, and everyone benefits.
Agreed. Love that. I love that saying.
So tell me, you have a couple of big projects right now. For example, Keto Effects tickets just went on sale again. And then we also have Keto Effects. Can you talk a little bit about Keto Effects?
Did you talk to Keith about Keto Effects?
I just over Instant Messenger, we over Facebook Messenger, we talked a little bit about that, and yeah, it's pretty damn exciting.
Yeah, so Keith did all of the so there's, I think it's 20 interviews with experts from everybody from Rob to Dom D'Agostino, Leanne Vogel,
JJ.
Yeah, JJ Virgin, Josh Axe, Nora Gagautis, just you name it. There's Ben, I think Ben Greenfield was part of it too. And so Keith said, I will be okay if I never hear ever about keto again. But, when you're just totally inundated with it day in and day out for weeks, it's I can totally understand that. But we are excited about it. It's going to be an incredible summit because these people are amazing contributors in this space and know so much about keto and who it's good for and who it's not good for. And the thing is it's probably just as important to find out if it's not right for you as it is to find out whether or not it is right for you. And so, because it's not for everybody, keto is not for everyone. And it has amazing benefits to it, but there can be some downsides if you're not the right fit for that. And so it's kind of like, finding your own paleo diet. You find what works for you, and something that works for you, Guillermo, may not work for me. And I know there's things that work for Keith that definitely don't work for me, and things that work for me that don't work for him. So it's no different with keto, and it's all the ins and outs, and every kind of information, any kind of piece of information you want about keto is going to be in that summit. And yes, We're in the pre-launch right now, and so it's going to be really incredible to see people get their education, kind of get their keto PhD, as it were, in how it works and who it works for. We're excited about that.
So, for someone that you just meet like at HEB, I was just in Texas, so I have HEB close to my heart. And then they ask you, how come you have, this type of grocery cart? How do you describe paleo in January of 2018?
Okay, so I describe paleo as a holistic lifestyle, that it's removing the toxins from my life. And that is not just the toxins that are in my food, but also the toxins in my house, in my everyday products, in my thinking, in my relationships, in my mindset. I believe that it's an entire lifestyle about living a very optimized, vibrant, and fulfilled life. And you can only do that if you remove all the toxins that you possibly can, that you can control, out of your life. And that's, like I said, it's foods, it's chemicals, it's people, it's thoughts. It just comes down to, what do you have in your daily life? And whatever parts are toxic in that, you need to think about getting rid of them.
That is just so interesting because, like, in my training, naturopathic doctor, you always hear, let's remove obstacles to cure, let's remove obstacles to health, meaning true health is not just what medicine, what pharmacological agent do I need to add into my life to get rid of the sinus infection, or to get rid of this hypothyroid, or what supplement do I need to add in order to get rid of this whatever illness you have. Same thing with weight loss. The question that we most often ask is, what can I eat to lose weight? When in reality, a better question, like, it makes no sense. First of all, what can I add on top of what I'm doing in order to lose weight, which makes no sense. A better question would be, what can I remove in order to lose weight? That actually makes sense if one waits for a second and looks at this paradox. But we don't think about that with relationships and with mental and emotional thoughts. In essence, it's you described it beautifully. It's removing toxins, and that does not mean just BPAs. It is so much more than that.
What I find interesting is that so many people don't recognize or realize that the traumas that we have in our lives, if we don't rid ourselves emotionally of those traumas ultimately manifest in disease. That's just that whole brain and gut access, all of that. Everything is connected and everything has a cause and effect. And so when you have any kind of traumas or emotional things going on, or you have constant stress and trauma from someone in your life that's negative and toxic, it's going to be very difficult for you to maintain continued health. So you have to remove any toxins from your life, and that includes, even if there's people that you love, you can love them from afar. You don't have to have them. And that's something that I've given myself permission to say, you know what, these people are just not positive in my life, and I love them, but I need them to not be part of my daily life because they don't serve me in a positive way, and they don't benefit my life in a way that helps me to benefit others.
And that could be just for a period of time. Like, for example, if you're changing careers and you're trying to become an entrepreneur and you're trying to build a practice, there might be people that you love that need a lot of help, but you got to put that oxygen mask on yourself first. If not, you won't be able to help yourself or anyone. So it might be just temporary. And once you have a little bit more latitude, a little bit more bandwidth, now you can go back and say, okay, now I have the ability to help you.
Sometimes you have to understand, sometimes you can't help. The one thing that I have come to the realization of in this, I've been on a spiritual journey. Keith and I have been on a spiritual journey for almost 3 years now. And one of the things through this journey is understanding we have control over nothing. We literally have control over nothing except our response to other things. And then we can choose to either respond or we can choose to react. And reacting is knee jerk. There's nothing in it that is mindful. When you respond, it's mindful. It's mostly positive. It's choosing to respond to something instead of allowing it to make you react or cause you to become a victim to whatever has happened. And so that is the one certainty in this life besides, death, is that you can only control whether or not you respond or react to whatever happens in your life. And the big thing for me is understanding there was a time when I was like, well, I don't know why this happened to me. And I don't know why that happened to me. And I realized it didn't happen to me. It happened in my life. And I've had to make a choice of whether or not I'm going to be affected by it and become a victim, or I'm going to be empowered by it and become a victor.
I don't remember who I was talking to, and they told me, you are the only person that can decide how to react to a situation.
Yeah.
And the power of thought is just so important. I'm going to give you a brief example, and I've said this story before. I Fridays, we have a shorter time that we see patients. We close a little bit earlier. We close at 3 p.m. And I would bring my lunch with me, and I would get so busy that I'd never had a chance to go eat lunch, okay? And I would pick up the lunch and go home, and I was like, damn, I was so busy, I didn't even have a chance to eat lunch. I've changed that to Fridays are my fasting Friday. I know I'm going to be busy. I'm going to build hormesis and help me detox by Fridays having a fasting day. So I'm changing the perspective. The outcome is the same. I don't get to eat. But instead of beating myself up for it, I am actually changing the mind frame, and I am doing something good for me. And it's changed my whole outlook in the way that I approach my Fridays. And to do that with so many different things, it's just, building yourself up for success rather than failure.
I love that, because that is a great mind shift on that, because we do think of things in terms of, oh, well, this happened, but you didn't have any control over it, and it just happened to you. And I love that you've made it a positive, and it's like, hey, instead of this happening to me, I'm making a choice. I made a choice to fast and to do something for my body, and I'm looking at it in a positive way. It's totally, probably one of the single biggest effects we can have on our life and those around us is just changing our mindset about little things like that and choosing to see them in a positive light instead of in a negative light. And the thing is that there are, bad things happen to good people. They just do. Clearly, our daughter was an amazing kid, and she was just a beautiful person. And I'd like to think that I'm a pretty decent person. I'm a pretty good person. And the thing is that I have come to realize that there is beauty that comes from ashes. There's been a lot of beauty. Would I choose for my child to die? No, I wouldn't choose that if I had a choice in that. But I didn't have a choice in that. I didn't have control over that. But my reaction to it, or my response to it, is, what good can I make come from what happened? What the bad that happened, there's got to be good that comes from that. And there has been. There's been amazing things. Paleo Effects exists because of that happening. Again, I wouldn't choose Paleo Effects over Brittany in a heartbeat. I wouldn't do that. But because I had no choice in that, I had no control over that. My choice is, what do I do to make something good happen from that bad? And that's I think the question that we need to ask ourselves every day. There's going to be bad things that happen in life. That's just the way it is. It's part of life. But do you choose to make something good come from it, or do you choose to dwell in what happened, and that you're a victim and that you didn't deserve it and whatever? Brittany didn't deserve to die. I didn't deserve to lose my daughter. But there are amazing, beautiful things that have come from it. And I've chosen to look at it in that light and realize I can't bring her back, but I can keep her, her legacy alive, and I can keep her memory alive by honoring her and making something good happen from that bad.
And do right by her, and all her values. I've had a couple of chances to hang out with you, like at AHS, and it's just so amazing, how you're just like this ball of like awesome energy, and you give the best hugs, and just being around you and knowing like the inner workings of the reasons why you do Paleo Effects or your entrepreneurial programs, going to AHS and scouting, possibilities and picking people's brain. And it's just amazing that the higher goal is not to have 100 more people come to Paleo Effects next year. It's just benefiting the health community, not just the paleo community, the health community as a whole. And that's just amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I'm going to have to give props here on my hugging abilities to Cecilia Garrick. She's actually the one that taught me how to give a proper hug. It was the funniest thing because she said to me, I went to hug her and she said, honey, don't pat me. I'm not a dog. And I go, oh, it never occurred to me. And she goes, let me show you how to give a proper hug. And when she did that, it's just made I've told her thank you many, many times, because it's made a difference to me in my connections with people, in just really giving a proper hug to someone and not kind of cold fishing them. A lot of people will give that cold fish pat, pat, pat on the back. And it's like, that's a proper hug is really having that moment of connection with another person. And I just have to give her props for that, because she taught me that, and I have been very blessed by that.
So you want to talk about health effects versus paleo effects? To give some background, last year, a couple of weeks before Paleo Effects, we received an email, and big news. Keep this on the hush hush. We're gonna relaunch Paleo Effects next year as Health Effects, and of course, there was a much discussion and there was a lot of controversy. So, what happened?
Okay. So the reason that we had decided that we were going to change our name was not to abandon paleo, because we honestly believe in ancestral health, and that this is the proper template for health. We absolutely, bar none, believe that, and we had no intentions of leaving paleo or ancestral health at all. That was not the issue. What we had realized is that we were probably going to, at some point in time, need to rebrand, because the paleo moniker may cause us more issues than help. And so what our concern was over the course of the last 2 years, we noticed that our brand new attendees, our number had started dropping. And we were like, I was like, okay, well, I'm thinking this might be coming a lot sooner than we thought it was going to come. So we had planned for Health Effects. We planned Health Effects 4 years ago. We bought that IP and the URL years ago, and we're prepared to go into Health Effects. The reason that we were doing that was because there are people that just have a preconceived notion about what paleo is, regardless of the actual facts. And so sometimes they're just closed-minded to the idea of paleo simply because they have it in their head that paleo is something that it's probably not. So I've heard everything from you're nothing but meat, you're nothing but bacon, you're raw meat, you're just all these different crazy things that we could possibly be. And it's just all these things. And so there's a lot of people that kind of get this ick factor about paleo before they even really know what it truly is. And so we were concerned that if we weren't continuing to grow, it would not benefit the movement. If we could not continue to grow Paleo Effects, where we were bringing in new blood every year, then we would not be serving the community. So we started talking about the health effects and that we should probably start looking at it because, like I said, the last 2 years, new attendees coming to Keto Effects started dropping. The other thing that got us was Keith and I were at a conference, and because of who we are, we had lots of people come up to us and go, "Oh, you're the paleo people. That's great, blah, 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 blah." But 10 different people told me, I could never do that. It's just so restrictive. And so my question back to them is always, "Oh, well, so what diet do you follow?" And I am not kidding when I tell you that 6 out of those 10 people told me, "I do Whole30." Total, this is total face palm. And I'm like, Whole30 is paleo. And I was like, and it's more restrictive than paleo. And then it's like this question of, well, what do you think paleo is? And so when we started understanding this or hearing this from people, we started thinking, oh my gosh, maybe we're not helping the community grow because people don't have a shot at understanding what paleo is because they're closed-minded to that idea because they have this preconceived notion about what it is. And so we started thinking, okay, maybe it's time for us to switch gears and go to health effects. And when we made the initial announcement, we made it to the speakers because we didn't want any of the speakers to be blindsided by it. So I literally had no one in the speakers sphere tell me, "Oh, we think that's a bad idea." Everybody that reached out to me was like, "This is a great idea. Yes, we're behind you. We support you," whatever. What happened was we started getting feedback from vendors and sponsors and from attendees and them being very concerned that we were abandoning paleo. And we were like, no, that's not the plan. What we want to do is grow paleo. And we feel like if we present somebody with health FX, they're not going to go, "Oh, well, I'm not interested in being healthy." We figured they would be more interested in come in and that we could kind of get them introduced to paleo without them having to be all concerned about that moniker. And then we would be able to, bring them in and they would open themselves up to the community because when you hear ancestral health on stage or you hear about it and you hear studies and you hear the science and you hear the practical applications of ancestral health, it's just common sense. It just makes sense. So people naturally go, "Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense." I think sometimes that paleo word gets to people and makes them think, the other thing is too, is that I think you, if I'm not mistaken, came from a Catholic background. Is that correct?
Very religious background, yeah.
So I come from a fairly religious background as well. I'm Christian. I'm very non-denominational, very open-minded Christian. I'm not fundamentalist at all. But there's also that question from people. In fact, the very, very, very last conversation I ever had with Brittany was about this. She said, "Mom, how do you reconcile being Christian and being paleo?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think that they're mutually exclusive." And she was like, "Well, I don't understand that." And I said, "Well, evolution is an absolute fact. You cannot deny that." And she goes, "Well, I don't know that she goes, "I'm not sure what I think or believe about evolution." I go, "Well, Brittany, evolution cannot deny whether there's God or not. That's not what evolution's about. There are some people that would say that it is, but I said evolution is just a scientific fact." And she goes, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Because you're an absolute product of evolution." And she said, "What? I don't understand what that means." And I said, "You were born without molars. You were born without molars. And you know what? That's a product of evolution. You don't need those molars anymore. Where people are having their molars removed. So we're starting to see more and more children being born without molars." And I was like, and that is a product of evolution. That's how evolution works. So I am totally okay saying I'm a Christian and I'm paleo because I don't think one denies the other. Now, there are some people that will say it does, but for me, it does not. It does not deny either one. So that's another thing. You got to get around that sometimes too, is that people are people are concerned about their faith and what they believe, and thinking that if they go into some kind of ancestral health, paleo thing, evolution deal, that they are denying what they have been brought up to believe and that they have faith in. And so that's another situation to consider.
Even though they might be doing the exact same diet, they just don't want the label. I found that at school. While I was going through school, I pretty much, labeled myself, I'm the paleo dude. Like off the bat, I'm going to be the paleo dude through the 4 years. If you have a question about paleo, ask me, And a lot of people were having the same diet, but they were like, yeah, I just don't want to label myself because then I'm going to exclude people. But what about the people that are looking for you and they don't know where to go? And I don't want to, if I have a vegan patient, I don't want to hit him with a bucket of cold water the first intake that we have, telling them, yeah, you're gonna have to start eating meat. Now they know that I'm the paleo dude and I am identified as that, and that's so important. Now, you can see Google Trends and you can see all of these things. More and more people are dropping paleo from their books and from their websites. My URL is 3030strong.com. Nowhere in my URL says paleo. I am very vocal about being adherent to an evolutionary diet, but it's kind of like almost cool to say, yeah, I'm not paleo, which I really don't like. I think people should be, should have an identity, stand for something, because if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing, But I was kind of happy because, and if you have gone to Keto Effects, you know that it's not just talking about diet. It's also talking about botanicals, and you talk about exercise, and you talk about all of these different things that, yes, the paleo lifestyle encompasses, but you might not know that you're going to learn that, or you have an expectation of just being taught about paleo diet. So I was happy that you guys were going into that direction. Now, what's the so we're having Keto Effects 2018. What was the deciding factor that said, you know what, let's go back to Keto Effects?
Okay, so like I said, we were concerned about not bringing in new people, and so what happened is we started getting all this feedback from vendors, sponsors, attendees, and then we had some brand experts come to us, and they said, "Look, we want to explain to you why we think this is a bad idea for you." And so when they came in and they started showing us all this traffic that we were not tapping into, that we could be tapping into, then they were telling us you're going to leave your brand equity on the table and walk away from it. And we think that's a big, huge mistake. And so they started just showing us all of this and how we could tap into these new people in a different way and be able to bring them in. And we were like, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. So what we have decided now is, obviously we spent a lot of money on the Health FX IP and URL. And so what we've decided we're going to do is start holding one-day Health FX events all around the country to bring people into the fold and get them introduced to what the ancestral health, evolutionary health model is through Health FX, so that we can bring them into Paleo FX eventually, and then finally start to understand that, whatever you call yourself, if it's paleo, keto, ancestral, Whole30, bulletproof, whatever you call yourself, if you're doing some form of this type of diet where you are practicing removing toxins from your life, you're practicing removing toxins from your food, when you're practicing this type of a holistic lifestyle, you're somewhere on the paleo spectrum. And so we just want people to be able to go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Unfortunately, most people don't do their own research. They listen to family, friends, whatever, and think that everybody knows everything, instead of becoming responsible for themselves and doing the research and understanding for themselves. I mean, this is your health, for goodness sakes. Why are you leaving it in the hands of anyone else but yourself? Like, you're the only one that cares as much about your own personal health as you do. There's nobody else that cares about it as much as you do, or should. And so the thing is that I just am wanting for people to have the opportunity to be to be introduced to it, to get the opportunity to know what it truly is. Because if you don't know what it is and you turn your back on it and you end up with nasty health down the road, well, that's the problem. Is if they maybe just understood what it truly was, that's where I think we can have such a huge impact in this world. So we're doing everything we possibly can at Paleo Effects to make sure that we are able to get the word out there. So health effects will be used. It's just going to be used in a different way now. And so Paleo Effects will remain, and we're just going to use health effects as an opportunity to introduce people to this lifestyle.
If you ever need a place to hold a health effects event in Arizona, let me know. I'm ready.
Okay, I will definitely let you know.
Now, 2018 Paleo Effects, what are some of the things that you guys have planned for us? What are some, tidbits and exciting news for the #1 paleo conference in the world?
We're really excited about this year. We have a lot of new things coming online. We're changing up some stuff at the floor. One of the biggest things that we're doing this year that I'm super excited about, and we announced it last week, is that we will be hosting the On It World Invitational Jiu-Jitsu Tournament.
I'm so psyched about that.
So we're so excited to be involved with On It and 10th Planet, and they will be coming in, and it's going to be a rockin' good time. That's going to be so much fun. And I shouldn't say rockin', I should say rollin', right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have that happening. We've got a lot of different things that are going to be changed on the floor. We have Dr. Joseph Mercola is going to be coming this year, which we're super excited about, because let's face it, he's been involved in this type of health and wellness for a very, very long time. And so we're excited that he's going to be attending Paleo Effects. And he will also be one of the speakers at our Health Entrepreneur FX, which is the day before Paleo Effects this year. We have sold out that event every single year very quickly. And this one, I think, will be the quickest that we sell out, because not only do we have Dr. Mercola, but we're also going to have JJ Virgin in the house at Paleo Effects and at Health Entrepreneur FX as well. So we're super stoked about both of them coming. Then we have, of course, Dr. Sarah Ballantyne, Mike Bledsoe, Jill Coleman. They're all going to be not only at Paleo FX, but they will be also at Health Entrepreneur FX. And so that is going to be an amazing event for the entrepreneurs in this space to learn from those people. And we've got some other things that we're working on as well. So I'm hoping we get to announce them pretty soon. And so there's just a lot of really good, cool stuff. But we have our ticket sprint window is open right now until February the 16th, I believe. And then when it closes, it won't reopen again until March 1st. And the prices will, of course, go up again. And so this is the model that we realized it was going to actually work for us to be able to actually pay our bills. So,
I'm super excited about a particular speaker that is on the website right now, Dr. Harry Adelson.
Yes.
He does stem cell therapies, and he spoke 2 years in a row at the Bulletproof Conference. And he's a naturopath doing stem cell injections out of Park City, Utah. And a friend of mine, and it's so awesome that even though it's called Paleo Effects, we are continuing to bring, all these different experts from things that might not seem paleo, But again, if you want good stem cells, you got to remove the toxins from your life.
Absolutely. We're excited about. We have a lot of new speakers that are going to be coming this year. Of course, we have amazing favorites, the fan favorites that'll be there: Rob, Marc, Sarah Ballantyne, Chris Kresser, Nora Gagautis. I know I'm leaving people out, and I don't mean to. It's really difficult to get to everybody. But yes, so just really excited about who we're going to have this year, and all the incredible talks that we're going to have. We also have some amazing panels that we're really Keith and I are super stoked about it. In fact, we've been arguing about who gets to do which panels. So
and and then okay, so maybe you are an entrepreneur. What kind of opportunities can you find at Paleo Effects?
oh my goodness. I think probably one of the biggest things for entrepreneurs at Paleo Effects is the opportunity to network with people who are like-minded, that are in this space, and who, you can collaborate and do business with. And so the networking opportunities abound. Of course, there's Health Entrepreneur FX, which will be the day before Paleo Effects. Those tickets will go on sale February the 1st, and I guarantee you they're going to be sold out very fast. So I would not sit around and wait on that ticket. If you want to go and be schooled by some of the biggest and the best, like Mercola and JJ Virgin, I highly recommend you get that ticket. There is, of course, going to be talks and workshops on different aspects of entrepreneurship. Definitely don't want to miss that opportunity either. And so I can't even tell you, this event is an entrepreneur's dream, in my opinion.
Well, let me give you a little testimonial, So I decided to go to Paleo Effects 14. That lit the fire under my ass to stop just studying and passing exams, to actually started building a future for myself and my girlfriend. And, continue passing exams because I needed to become a doctor. But I started making contacts. I befriended you and Keith. And then I went the next year and I befriended Chris Masterjohn, and I were really good friends. I met Emily Schramm. She's had me on her podcast. I've had her on my podcast. Rob Wolf, you name it, And if it wasn't for this epicenter of awesomeness, I don't know how I would have done it. And this is just as a participant that has a little bit of motivation to help people. Imagine if you can harness that energy and go into Paleo Effects and just kick ass. I know people that I didn't know before Paleo Effects 2017, like Ellen Jaworski, Triple Peak Paleo, killing it on social media. I met her at Paleo Effects. We connected. We have a couple of projects. We've done a couple of projects together. Just so many people, and the opportunity is there. It's just, do you have a ticket for the opportunity?
Agreed. And I wouldn't miss the opportunity to get those tickets, for sure. In my opinion, it is a 3-day paleo party. It is a lot of fun. If you are interested in anything to do with health, wellness, paleo, fitness, biohacking, sustainability, in emerging markets, in decentralizing markets, and anything like that, you need to come to Paleo Effects.
Hallucinogens, meditation, like the topics are endless.
They are. We have everything from shamanism to
double-blind placebo-controlled trials. so the gamut.
For sure.
So, Michelle, how can people get tickets? Where can they find more information about this paleo party? What are your handles? How can we get a hold of you?
PaleoFX.com. You can go there and get all the information you want about Paleo Effects, the event. You can also find through that page up in the, those title bars or whatever up at the top. You can find Health Entrepreneur FX there. Or if you just Google Health Entrepreneur Effects, we're going to come up. We're number one. And I would definitely make sure that you get your tickets and get them as soon as you can, because like I said, the pricing will go up after this next ticket sprint. And there's lots of giveaways. We will be giving away, and the month of March, we were able to get it secured last year. And so from now on, the month of March is Paleo Awareness Month. And so for Paleo Awareness Month, we are going to be holding a contest with Sunlight and Saunas. They are a sponsor of Paleo Effects, and we will be giving away a sauna.
What?
So, yeah. So, and among a lot of other things, we're going to also give away tickets and all of that stuff. So, definitely want to stay tuned to our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Twitter, and just really be paying, watching those things and get signed up on our newsletter. Also, if you're interested in learning about keto, our Keto FX Summit is online. It's free. You can sign up, and you can go to our website to get to Keto Effects as well, and get yourself signed up, and you'll be able to check that out as well.
I'll make sure to on my Facebook. I will have links for the Keto Effects. So if you're following me, and just click on that link and go watch the summit. I know I have the list of some of the people that are going to be speaking, and that list. You couldn't have curated that list any better.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do a lot of work on that.
Michelle, thank you so much for being a guest. I will, forever be thankful for making one of my dreams come true. Being on that Cresser stage last year was amazing. I can't wait for Paleo Effects 2018. I'm taking my girlfriend this time. I've been for the past 3 years and she's never been. And I'm afraid that she's gonna be like, you told me this was work. You're just having fun. But maybe I'll pretend to be working the whole time. Thank you so much for your amazing hugs, the amazing opportunities you've given me, you and Keith, and I can't wait to see you guys.
Oh, thank you. We can't wait to see you too. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.